I got input, the less and less you qualify. Like they keep narrowing you down, and then right, then they give you a little window, put you in another 5 minutes. Like, okay, I wish it is this, or this. And the guidance is getting narrow. Like, I turned it so that it won't, this won't get away. Out there, screen, what will follow us. Very narrow. And I kept getting so down. You want me to, let's just keep it like, yeah, let's just keep looking. Right, it'll work at one. So let's see what we can do. Yeah, it was not a happy moment for me. But out of resources. Yep. All right, I'm gonna take the rest of my stuff. As long as it's, you just bring it back, we'll figure it out. This stuff just all goes. Like, you want me to leave my bin? You can pile it all in there? You want me to do that? I'll just bring it all back. So you're not back in the office till next Monday, right? I don't. Is it okay if it's in the town clerk's office? Yeah, I don't need any of this stuff. Okay, so it'll all be in the town. It'll all be in her office. Next to Kimber and Gordon.
It's dark in here.
It is.
We're
right.
That's my indoor curse.
Yeah. You weren't around for the morning. We have on.
Cool. It does. Hey.
Do we have better lighting?
That I'm making. Okay.
Because it's
What were we asking?
I just have to better light. Who are you? No.
Oh, look at this.
What about it?
Yes, I will turn the lighting on.
Okay.
Right now, we're using nature. We're saving electricity because this is a tough budget year.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Glad to see you all here. It's the April 7th, 2026 town budget hearing, and I'd like to open that officially right now at 7:02. The first thing I'll do is give you a budget summary, which I've done in the past, and just sort of a chair's summary, hitting on some of the points. And then after that, we'll go I'll ask for if there's any detail that needs to be added by the Board of Ed side or the town side. And what I'm saying, since the numbers have been kind of, coming together at a, last minute for needed reasons and for good effect. So I'm going to be touching on some of those things, but basically it was deadline writing. So, so pardon that. I won't bury the lead. The budget numbers have climbed since the night of appropriations from a 4.1% growth year over year to 3.4% in numbers just captured. As you can see from the updated budget handout, the rebidding process reduced a 32.4% increase in health insurance costs for town and school employees, paid off in a big way. cutting that increase down to 18.4%. Still a sizable increase, but it makes a huge difference in the bottom line, about 43% to the better. So significant budget drivers we saw in a 6-year evaluation last year are still with us. Revenues are flat and our fund balance is less able to offset tax increases as we've depended on in the past. State aid is stagnant or reduced. We will not hear until the legislative session closes the day after our budget referendum vote whether we will receive the flatline education cost sharing money, usually around $72,000, and the revised motor vehicle valuation method will continue, removing large revenue to the town that we must address every budget year going forward, but also having the positive impact of relieving pressure on taxpayers' property taxes for vehicles significantly. The thing is, we need new business activity that works well for our town. You all know that. And we also need to realize that cutting the budget, some below water level, as we did in the fiscal year 25-26 budget we're managing now, is not sustainable as an every year reality for running the town. Last year, the increase for the 3 budgets overall was 2.4% in the final referendum. This year, we started at 3.4%. I believe that's the best we can do without losing staff and services. A word about adhering closely to the rate of inflation, which is kind of a bellwether. Now around 3%, which is in flux now due to an expensive war in the Mideast. First, the inflation rate does not include 2 key areas, all energy and food. For any household, and yes, for any town government, those represent the most volatile areas of spending. Diesel for our trucks and school buses, oil-based substances for paving, food services for the public, utilities for our buildings, et cetera, you can imagine. You know from hitting the pump yourself that 2 weeks ago you were spending $1 plus per gallon less at the pumps. Unleaded is more like $4 now, over $4. Premiums at $5 and diesel is at $6. So given what's before us, a 3.4 overall increase is close to stunning. Before the numbers today, the town, schools, and capital spending areas endured large cuts in their proposed budget request. The schools assisted the process by creating a descending priority of cuts to help offset the $1.4 million in costs to meet a town-wide state mandate to educate 7 high needs kids alone. When our longtime average in Wellington was 2, maybe 3 students with high needs a year. So we cost that out at around $200,000 per child, and this year there's 7. Cuts in our pre-K through 8 budget included wiping out the non-lapsing fund for about $161,000 that serves as our emergency backup, large supplies like MacBook replacements, library books in both schools, classroom chairs, and other basic needs. But the reduction stopped short of reducing teaching staff and staff specialists, or going to a pay-to-play school sports model that would remove the level playing field notion of all-inclusive teams without fees attached. On the town side, major reductions include reducing a more than $500,000 increase in the $2 million public works budget by more than $400,000 in reductions. In capital, we removed $200,000 from school capital reserve and $20,000 from open space. Smaller departments offered cuts to their budget request or saw them reduced in the effort to create an affordable plan at a challenging time. And we'd like to note that all the sacrifices that were made in that process. We'd like to invite any detail from the first selectman, the BOE chair or superintendent they wish to add before we open the floor for your comments. And to that point, we want to hear them all. but we ask that you adhere to meeting decorum and not launch into any personal attacks against the people who work for our town and schools or are in elected positions of responsibility in that effort. And thank you for your attention. A plus. So first I'll ask, Mike, did you have anything you wanted to add in that summation? I might have left something out that you felt like was.
I think that pretty well covers it. I just like everyone in the room to know that everybody involved in the building, in the town office building, and all of the people we're coordinating with, including our insurance sales people, have been working sometimes multiple phone calls and emails per day, every day, trying to whittle this down, which is why if you were paying attention to what happened last Thursday, the 26th at the Board of Finance meeting, and the notice that you saw go out, the legal notice for tonight, you'll see those numbers are different from what you're getting in the handouts tonight. And that's because during all of those, sometimes hour by hour, in between then and now, we kept finding things to whittle down, negotiating and renegotiating insurance, and picking up little bits and pieces and budgets, even things like rounding errors on the spreadsheets to be cleaned up, which is why that 4.05 that was sent forward on the legal notice for tonight is now 3.4. So I'm not going to go into any more detail. Certainly I'll answer any questions, but I don't want to go into any more detail, stretch it out any more than that. It's just, it's been a lot of work because it impacts all of us and we know what it means and we've heard the concern from the community to try to find every penny. So.
Yeah, and I would just like to salute in particular the acting finance manager, Sherry Nazier, who's just kind of been thrown into the deep end here a little bit and learning by doing, and boy, is she doing and learning, I think, according to her. But I just want to salute her because it's really been above and beyond. She's still maintaining her other job duties as well. So it's kind of a twofer, you know, so fun. Phil, did you have anything you wanted to add? Brianna's here.
Besides that comment, Jerry, and her team. Mike mentioned the insurance, just the impact on the Board of Education side. Since their last through budget, we're down $192,000 in insurance alone. So when we talk about the huge impact that insurance costs has on the Board of Education budget, it's significant. So since the Board of Ed approved their budget, that was at the 878 increase, they're down $392,346, which is the number, brings you to that 10,501,957 that you're looking at today. So
Thank you. Did I capture your reductions pretty accurately?
Yes, the Board of Ed still hasn't, so the list of reductions that I invited, we're sorted through those. It's just going to be a matter of seeing what everything shakes out. They won't make those changes until it's done.
Yes.
One of the pieces of, and again, is insurance related. Just looking at, working with the team and the insurance provider, trying to identify savings. We are going into a bundle situation where we receive more savings. That came off. There's 30,000 that came off for the insurance side. I also, in the short term, had some elevated insurance. So another $7,000 came off. So we've gone through that process, and that's, that impacts that list. And so eventually, once there is some sort of budget from the town, then the board will have to take the return and what will go.
I appreciate this moving target that, the town and schools have been dealing with the calculators out and, pencils sharpened and everything for, knowing what the need for high accuracy is for these legal documents. So I really appreciate that. I think unless is the chair of BOE here, do you want to add anything, Bree? Or wait, or what?
No, I mean, I think we all know about how and, that's what we're taking around the insurance couple. And that moving target is the way to private sure to spend a lot of meetings because every time I meet, it's good to hear the latest update. And just make sure that we all understand what that comments from the state. If you didn't get a chance to pick up the, give over that, post it together, and figure out the deal. I think that helps kind of explain to you all also.
Feel free if you missed that, to just go grab one now if you want to. I'm sure people will be referencing it. Is there anything from the board before we open the public hearing? Okay. Without further ado, you'll have opportunities. Without further ado, I just want to remind people that we're being recorded by the technology that's used at the town office buildings. You need to speak clearly because it's such a resonant room. If you can, keep your comments as brief and focused as possible, but also think of it as if you're speaking to a large group in a big room, and which you will be doing. So appreciate that. And who would like to kick off the fun? Oh, Pete Tanaka, why not? Would you like to introduce yourself again?
Pete Tanaka, 125 Mason Road. I've been looking over the packet, and I'm sorry I'm not coming more prepared because I didn't have the packet. But looking at the front page, the back page, the one with the pie chart, it has general government, education, pre-K, and education, region district, school district 19. I'd just like to point out that although we're showing the dollar and percentage increases year over year from last year, if you go back a year, because of the way the budget went last year, which was, in my mind, a little wonky, the actual general government budget increase over 2 years ago is 1%. If it's as you said about the 3% inflation, that means we're 5% behind on our general government budget. Over the last 2 years, the pre-K-8 budget has gone up 8%. That means a bigger and bigger percentage of our total budget is going from general government to pre-K-8. I assure you I understand the value of our young citizens going to school. The Region 19 budget, we're not going to do much about that. And as you go through this packet, almost every single line in the packet is how general government is spending the budget. For all the education budgets, we get a line. This is how much we're spending. It doesn't say where it's going. Nothing in this packet says where it's going. I think that would be valuable information. I mean, it's going for education, all right? We throw in this big bucket called education. You know, that it's not broken down by the, salaries of each individual like it is for the government. So I just like to point that out. I understand that they don't report the same way. Believe me, I understand that. And what I would like to do for clarification is both yourself, Madam Chairman, and the superintendent have been telling us about cuts over the original proposed budget. What would be far more clarifying is the amount of increase or decrease from the current budget, not from some difficult proposed
I
budget.
should have included that 4.9. It's in the packet.
Yeah, it's 4.9 over last year, but it's 8% over 2 years ago. The general government budget is 1% over 2 years ago. It's barely moved at all.
I'm not supposed to reply to you during your presentation, so I won't go further, but I do have an answer or two.
But, and I appreciate that, and I would appreciate the clarity in what our current numbers are compared to last year's numbers instead of some mythical proposal budget. Does that make sense to you, or am I?
I understand your point. I understand your point. Okay. I mean, should we just kind of discuss some of this stuff as we go, or like continue to hear comments, since you all are here to comment, and we'll take some notes and go back. Okay. Anyone next? Oh, Rob, I think I saw your hand first.
I'm sorry.
I saw your hand first, I think.
Okay. Ralph Phillips, 47 Phillips. As usual, or it seems to be the usual thing now, the four taxpayers coming to this hearing without seeing what those of us who are actively involved in government see. It's just the first time they're seeing the numbers. And my concern is that they don't get enough time to digest what's in this packet. And I think that one of the lack of comments and questions that I've seen so far is because nobody's had time to really peruse the budget and line up the budget. It is very illegal for Board of Finance to continue this public hearing to another evening. Give people time to understand and digest what's in the budget and come back and offer some meaningful comments rather than just taking shots at various line items. I don't know why this is what to get to referendum on the budget. We had time for 3 referendums last year. We certainly have at least enough time to delay the referendum for our first go so that everybody gets an opportunity to see what's in the budget. There's not a rush to talk very well with the general government budget. We all in these meetings talk about costs, not costs. Except last year for the government budget. They are reductions in increases. They're not costs. And I think that's the word, the use of that word, when we start lowering some of the increases.
There are cuts in budget requests, which says it the same way.
There were reductions in budget requests. I'm sorry, I get thinking over the words used. Cut has a very nasty connotation. A reduction does not, or not as bad. But anyway, I would seriously ask the Board of Finance to perhaps continue this public hearing for next week. If you announce the date, the time, and location, it is perfectly legal. You do not need to publish another legal notice. This is something we can consider. As I see what people talk, let's still talk.
When you're ready. I didn't want to interrupt us. I just want to respond to that. I think I may be misunderstanding some of what you're saying. This is the same process we use every year. I don't understand the comment about the public has not had an opportunity. The public comes to a public hearing where the budget is presented, and they come by a legal notice, which has the budget that was last agreed upon by the Board of Finance. And they come to that public hearing to see more detail and discuss the budget. And then there's 2 weeks to the town meeting. That public hearing where people get to talk about the budget and get their presentation and ask questions is happening right now. This is the process we use every single year. I'm not sure why all of a sudden it's this year and we're talking about it's a rush. You and I have been going to these meetings for decades. This is the way we do it every year.
I've been trying to get the numbers in the budget for over a week.
And every time you asked me for them, I clarified that what was approved by the Board of Finance on the 26th of March was the official numbers because they were changing every day. That is the official legal information.
Understood, Mike. Those numbers are never published. They were talked about in
The legal notice went out according to how it's supposed to do. I think we're manufacturing a problem.
In addition, I would say that they're all in the posted March 26 appropriations, not minutes, motion by motion. So, and a summation at the end by the acting business manager. So there's that document. That's not a chart. We didn't have a chart. But the information is there. I guess the thing I would say about the legality is because we're a member of in a 3-town high school, that budget is set and cemented on a date. Everybody else, including Ashford and Willington, the other partners, set our referendum date at the same time to go with the Mansfield timing for the Region 19 budget. That's, and the process is, of course, you have budget hearing, and then 2 weeks later, you have annual town meeting. And then like within 2 weeks, you're at the referendum point. So that's quite a, that's a pretty rigorous process. That I don't see how we would delay it without sort of wrecking that relationship with the other high school towns.
Yeah, we put it in, do it, running the month, continue this for. We can still have our county and move this road. Still have a plan.
There's advertising dates between though, Ralph. Yeah, that's why we put the legal notice in for tonight. We'd have to do that again.
For what, a continuation this year?
Yeah.
We do not.
Well, okay.
I think he may have a point that the hearing could be continued because the people were warned to be here tonight. So I think that is correct, the hearing could be continued, but we haven't even heard public commentary
Yeah.
about how people feel about the budget. If we get to midnight tonight, we better continue to another night.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't get to midnight and we've answered the questions, the process should continue over the next 2 weeks till the meeting. It's the same process every year.
Okay. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I think, Michelle, and then Ann.
Michelle at Cunningham, Lisbon Road. I just wanted to clarify that the document that Brianna mentioned, that is in the back of the room, does have the breakout by program.
Okay.
We haven't. So the Board of Education budget comes as an entire package, one lump sum. The Board of Finance does not determine how that money is spent. That's the job of the Board of Education. So that's why it's on a separate document, because it's handled by a separate board. I want to thank you for bringing this, that people who haven't attended the meetings and heard more about the plans that you have and each of these programs, as well as this document also has on here the Board of Education increases and the inflation rate over the past 10 years or so. So if you want to see a comparison, it's really useful. I'm encouraging somebody, if you run out, please share it with yourself, because it's very easy.
I believe that document's also on the town website as an attachment to the March 19th minutes. I'm not sure, it's around then when that was handed out to the board the night of the meeting. So the comparisons, I think 6 of the 8 years, the school budget increase year over year was well below the inflation rate. If memory serves. Ann? Would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Anne Bergman, I'm with the First Hamburg Germany. For those who are interested in the Carol and Lucia, you can go to your application class, workshop during the month of January, and it's all recorded, you watch the whole meeting, and you will find out that every single time that is on the floor. So that's the way we have to come into there. And then for the finance board, we want on their meeting, and so for those of you could look at it and say, thank you.
I think I heard about half that up here. That's the problem. It's good if you want to address the crowd like that. That's an option. It just doesn't get picked up as well. So maybe off to the side or something. Anyone else ready to go? You have, Pete.
Peter Littleton, Judge 97, Trask, good evening, everyone. I want to underscore the comments that the selectman who was made. I think the very important and expand upon. It's important for the townspeople to be able to prepare for this meeting, just as the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Education have for the past, since January. You've been toiling away at this, and we all appreciate that, the past 5 months. The town opportunity to see the budget for the first time is tonight. To have access to the budget documents a couple of hours, or in my case, because I tried last night, it was select meeting, unsuccessful. I looked again this morning online, did not find anything. I understand there were delays, insurance issues, for all the more reason for everyone to have an opportunity, just as you did, to digest these numbers and understand them. During the budget process, we saw a number of people participate in both the town budget or general government budget and the education budget. It's not just the final number you're throwing at us tonight saying take it or leave it. People also care about the content of this budget. We heard extensive discussion about asphalt and outplacements, and interesting counter proposals were submitted by residents. It would be nice to be able to have final budget numbers a couple of days in advance. Why am I stressing that so much? Because the way our budget process works, tonight is our last opportunity to influence the budget process. Because the feedback from tonight, and all of us are unprepared, frankly, including myself, to give that feedback is received by you. You then meet after this meeting in a special meeting and act on the budget. It's the only time the budget can increase or decrease. After that, it goes to a town meeting that we vote on, and the budget goes automatically to referendum. So tonight's number at the Board of Finance will be what we vote on in referendum with minimal input from the townspeople, because we have no opportunity to even understand the budget being presented. And even Board of Finance members, when did they get these numbers? Sometime midday today, the final numbers. I understand the circumstances, but then I would suggest that Ralph's proposal to continue this meeting, so we all have an opportunity to understand it, and not just focus on the final number, but what's in it. Otherwise, it feels again, much like that, we have to pass it to find out what's in it. And that does not sit well with townspeople. Thank you for your time.
Others who want to speak? Can I see if there's others before we go back to this? A lot of people haven't spoken. I don't know if there's some who want to. Mike, do you think it would help if I outlined what the changes are? Because the other budget numbers are, untouched as far as appropriations go, and there's only 3 areas.
Well, yeah, I think there are 2 motions, right, that you would potentially consider at the meeting after this. If you highlighted those, that would help explain. We've already kind of talked about why the budget's lower.
Right.
The budget that came out of the meeting on the 26th from the Board of Finance would have been the number that came here tonight. That
Right,
was the
exactly.
budget
So
that you as
these
a board
changes.
have accepted. But it is obviously lower now because up until this morning, it's about 10:30 this morning, we're still working the numbers to get the better and better.
Understood.
So I'm assuming people will ask for it, but if you want to explain the 2 motions.
Well, I was going to do it as part of the meeting that follows, but it seems like it's come up with 2 people now. And so just to clarify, the only changes to tonight's budget that produced a drop from 4.1% growth year over year to 3.4%. One is the employee insurance on the town side, which is
You want the other number?
yeah, wait a second, I think I have it. The employee insurance on the town side went from 212,580 to 173,864. So that would reduce that appropriation by the difference there. And in the Board of Education side, which I think Phil's already spoken about, it went down about 100,000, 102,000, I think, difference. So that's the other item. There's one that's a rounding error, that's a $1 difference in the Public Works appropriation that's just, the, if those of you who've done budgets know, there's always some little quirky dollar off thing, and it's a doing up of that. No controversy there, but you know. So those are the changes which we've already discussed to some degree tonight. The rest of everything we did in the appropriations, otherwise, all the transfer outs to the ambulance, the library, all the other town departments. There were reductions in a lot of them, the senior center, all of that is the same as it's been with us for the 2-month weekly budget season. It's documented in all the minutes. If you go to appropriations night on March 26th, you can see it all motion by motion. Not the exciting romance novel kind of read, but it can still answer a lot of questions. So, Ralph, did you? Pete wanted to follow up. You want to immediately? Is that okay, Pete? Before I call in. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Last Thursday,
Could you speak up?
last Thursday was the 26th. You
Right.
moved, motion, and approved the appropriations.
Mm-hmm.
You're following some of those appropriations since that time. So, are you going to move to adjust those appropriations?
Yes, so when we get to the Board of Finance meeting after all the public comment, I want to be sure people aren't choked up from saying what they want to say here and now, though, toward the budget hearing. So if we could, okay. And Pete, you wanted to?
Yeah, Pete Tanaka, 125 Mason Road again. I didn't see the line item here because it's not broken down into the sheet. I know you did. But I understand there's a $20,000 increase in vegetation removal in the budget. Is that right?
You mean trees?
Trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Even as recently as yesterday, we had trees in the wire. People, when I mentioned this before, think that that's a Eversource problem. Eversource takes care of the trees on the side of the road with the wires and not the other side. So once again, I've been asking for that for many years. As far as the time rush, I think that is the same argument that I was hearing from the other side of the aisle at the end of my term when we were discussing the tax stabilization. We couldn't vote yes on it because it's rushed. So I'm just throwing that out there. Also, I want to emphasize to people that these are 3 different budget votes. We have a bottom line down here, but the bottom line is adjusted by the 3 votes we take. Make sure that you don't just go, I have to vote yes or I have to vote no for all 3. They have to do that in statute. They get 1 vote, yes or no, on the total budget. So I think we have a great opportunity here to examine it for ourselves. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Again, you said we cut down to that 3.4% increase. No, we increased 3.4%. We need to work with the real number. Last year's number is the real number. The total number is an imaginary number that comes with miracles. Saying that we're reducing or we're cutting and the amount is going up is disingenuous.
Really biting my tongue now. It's removing all context.
She said, reduction to the increase. She said the same thing.
Yeah, they say increase just that. But the increase was the imaginary number starting. It's an increase to last year's numbers. It's not a reduction.
Yes, which was made clear.
And I did try to add context. I hope you all heard it because it's a dynamic that we face on this board as a reality that's very heavy. And that is the flat revenues, the state mandates that are unfunded at the local level or reduced funding or funding in question. We're balancing all of that because we need to keep this town solvent. So it is not wanton spending in many of those cases. It's, or any of those cases that I see. It's revenue shortfall that used to be there for us before, either in state aid or in fund balance and taxation, that is not there now. It's a sea change for me, having been on the Board of Finance for 7 years. I have not seen it before. That's not forever, but it's certainly recent years I've seen it, what's happening, and that's the trends I see. So I just want to clarify, it's not just about spending, how much people are being curtailed on their wishes. It's underlying systemic drivers of the budget situation. Is that okay to say that? I felt like it needed reiterating. Does that help? Okay, I'd really like to hear some more public comment. Is there, and it can be budgeters too, anyone who is a part of this process. Please speak. Any hands on this side? In the back? Let me go on my distance vision. Yes. Linda, do you want to?
Yeah, just to be clear with the folks, EPS is what the state gives us, state budget for kids.
What's that?
You give us like.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amanda, did you identify yourself fully? Okay, and project a little more, thank you.
EPS, for the education budget area, is what the state gives us. Okay, for education, it's based on the number of kids. You have a number of kids go down, we don't control, that's it. You may have liked it, but the flip side of it is the fixed cost of school, that's going to change based on whether you have 100 kids or 110 kids. And then if you go down from 110 to 90, you can get state will give you 90. So we're in a demographic situation that we have no control over. Unless you can go out there and get a bunch of young families to move it down. All right, so we get more kids in the school than they need to. Otherwise, it's out there.
Thank you. Other comments? Hearing none.
Can I just clarify something? This is not Mrs. Naka's comment. I think the word imaginary is not maybe the target you're looking for. Maybe it's not approved until that budget is approved. Is that becomes a real number for you? Because I would say imaginary to me is that I'm putting Old Saints in center school, and I surely am not. When I look at the Board of Education budget and I look at internet service, that is a very real number. When I look at the bill for special education outplacement, that is a very real number. When I look at the salary of any employee or a transportation contract, that is a very real number. If your point is that it is not until a budget is approved that that sets the real number, fair enough.
That was my
For
opinion.
me,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just want to make it clear that the Board of Ed numbers are not imaginary. They are, I think, very real things.
Thank you for the clarification.
Madam Chair, can I add that too? You don't mind?
Did what?
Add to what both Mr. Tanaka and Stevens are saying. A budget is an estimate of what we think things are going to cost in the upcoming fiscal year. It's nothing more than an estimate. It is an educated estimate, but it's nonetheless, it's an estimate. And once the budget is voted on, those numbers only serve to establish a mill rate for taxation purposes. The expenses are going to be whatever they are. They will either stay under what we estimated our budget to be, or they're going to go over. That's the way I think this budget works. So I don't know, magically was the correct word that's being used, but the reality is, all we're doing is a good gut guess as to what things are going to cost the town for the next fiscal year. And we use that to establish how the tax.
One of the dynamics that's in our favor this year is we have a lot of contracts that were pre-negotiated before the explosion of some of the energy costs. They have limits too. That's not something that's going to be the gift that keeps on giving. They're going to sunset. But for this year, we had some excellent collaboration on the town and school side to have those numbers be, by today's standards, artificially low, I would say. So there are some things like that that have helped us out. Did you want to say something, Kathy?
Kevin first for the agency room. Common Conservation Commission, for example, we've had a budget of $1,500 for many years. And we're always trying to ask for a little more, because you know how people come in, you know. I so appreciate the work that all you do. Everything's more than everything we send request. Based on what they estimate, things will cost, the things that are really things they need. And you work with them, you try to say, this way you're try something else, or you're negotiating insurance. I so appreciate all that you do. And, you know, unfortunately, when we have to ask people not to do things, way before, we keep kicking the can down the road, just to try to get it down to 2% of the increase in our budget. And it's very sad because we're losing out on getting ahead of things we actually need to do. This is where we can see ourselves every year. So I actually think we're behind the curve, even though the budget goes up 3%. I think it's really good to know. There's a lot of us in that.
Thank you. Yes, Melissa, please introduce yourself. Could you project a little more?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I just want to tell you, I know that you guys have job ahead of you sitting there as an alternate last term. I know who you're facing, but I just want to remind everybody too, if this does not pass, we haven't even farmed about to date. And a lot of people are going to look at this budget, even if they didn't get a chance to look at this, they know that a lot of people don't show up to meetings, but they sure show up to a referendum. They think it's too much money. And unfortunately, we are facing a new school or a refurb school and a fire department that is going to lose our taxes. And if people are only getting a 2.5% raise, I'm just giving you some information from what I see or what I've heard from other people in town. Again, but I can say for myself, even with the last numbers we have, my taxes were going to go up over about $900 just with this budget. I already work 2 jobs, and I'm actually doing a lot better than a lot of people in this town. I'm not trying to put myself on the pedestal, but I will figure out how to love you and be Paul. But there are a lot of people in this town that may end up having to leave where their house is getting foreclosed on because they won't be able to pay their taxes. So just please keep that in mind. And you know, like I said, I hope that everybody in the next week gets a chance to look at this. Like I said, I looked for a copy of this last night. I thought after the meeting last night, I thought it was said that this was posted, so I read all the before, and I could not find it as well, which is fine. But, you know, if it's posted on the 2 hours before 5 o'clock, and people are ever, and I never really have an opportunity to look at this before. So I just wanted to share that as my thought, maybe going forward, maybe not this time, but maybe you should, as a town and as the board of finance going forward, to kind of look at why it should be posted maybe on Sunday, maybe a Sunday before this meeting. So at least it gives a couple of days for everybody. I know things change and then you have to last minute, but a lot of people didn't get an opportunity to even look at it because they know. And that's just an unfortunate thing. Like I said, you know, we mentioned it. I know we mentioned it last year, and I know we mentioned it this year. But we've been a lot more involved in the last 2 years. But we should be kind of thinking about that, even as a board, to kind of really start thinking about that when the budget meetings were set.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just want to comment on the process. I think there are a lot of good comments here about making the process better, including how the thing got posted on the website and where it was posted and where people couldn't find it. We started off a little bit on our heels this year. Obviously, me being new to this role, but also with having our finance manager out and learning a new role, and then with all the with the rollbacks with the state, not getting the budget, we still don't have, we won't have the final budget from the state till May 6th. And with this crazy situation with insurance, but that has also taught us a lot of things by hearing these comments also, and the notes I've taken in the selectmen's meeting and at the Board of Finance meetings about what we can do better for next year. Stephanie, as Board of Finance Chair, and I have had a lot of conversations. Sherry in the finance office, I have had a lot of conversations. Bill and I have had a lot of conversations about what we can do better next year. And it covers all of these things about what can we get out earlier for information, what can we make clearer about information. A lot of discussion already about how offsets are applied to expense budgets and how it creates sort of an artificial higher or lower budget. And so we have a list of things we want to do better next year, and we'll need to continue to get public input so that we can build a more robust, more transparent budget process the next time around. But we are doing it exactly the way it's been done before, just to make sure we don't throw a curveball in now in the middle of budget season.
Liliana, did you want to please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Liliana Barone, 70 Jarvis Parks Road. So I want to thank you for your hard work. I know this is a thankless job, and you guys are dedicated. I'm going to agree with Ralph and Peter. Being new to this whole process, and I am trying to be as involved as maybe some people think too much. I'm trying to learn how this process goes. This is our first year seeing how this works. And having the budget come out like a couple of hours before I just saw this when I came in, didn't give us a chance to kind of ask questions or prepare for questions. So I think it would be appreciated if we would have the time to look at the budget and have questions and that maybe or comments. So that would be appreciated if it can be done.
Oh, this is just a PSA announcement. I want to be sure everyone knows this. When we publish our legal notice in the Chronicle, I realize not everyone here takes the Chronicle or the Current. I'm not sure if we publish in the Chronicle. Okay. Not a lot of people see that anyway because the legals aren't exciting like other, like what are the Yukon teams doing 2 days later, 2 days after they did it. So so I understand that, but it is always posted on the town website. When that is published, it's on the town website. I think there's probably some things we could do to attach it to minutes or something else when we see it, but that's usually accessible to you on the town website.
And it was not in the right place, which is why.
Oops, never mind. No.
That goes to Ralph's point at the selectmen meeting last night.
Okay.
It was hard to find in one place. We had a 2024 budget summary and still on the Board of Finance page. Fortunately, with title 2024, it wasn't, but it was where this one should have been. So
Okay.
it wasn't published as early as it should have. It was published, the legal requirement is the newspaper. And I think it was posted on the bulletin board outside the town hall too, but it was not on the website as early as it should have.
The website, as the existing selectmen know and the previous board knows, is also a work in progress, but with a list maybe longer than fixing the budget hearing process. But I feel like there's more people that are kind of wanting to say something overall. You don't have to get down into the weeds of dollar values if you don't want to, but if you want to just comment on what your sense is or ask a question about moving forward or whatever, just anything is up for grabs to do with the budget. Yes. Excuse me, Joan, did you hear that? I need you to speak real loud, like you're mad at me. I'm gonna introduce you for the scribe here, Joan Tarasowitz, and what road, Liska Road. Mhm.
Okay, the public works question. What I don't know is, road repair. This is an issue. If you have been down Moose Meadow, from Liska down towards the highway, the road is in very, very bad condition. Part of the Liska is in bad condition. We have these logging trucks. I don't know how many a day we're having, probably about 4 or 5 a day, the run to the truck. These huge trucks. Now, there have been cracks in Moose Meadow and in Liska that are an inch and a half wide, 2 to 3 inches deep. So we're not looking at just pulling the car. So this is going to be a real issue, particularly once next thing comes. Who has to pay for that? Is there any way that we get money from the logging company or road use money, on something that will help the town to repair the damage done to the road?
The short answer to that is no. We had a public discussion about this, when the Love's truck stop was being built, and there was a lot of damage done to Moose Meadow Road, near the turnpike end of Moose Meadow. And we investigated the legal possibilities of talking to the developer. And we also investigated whether there could be some sort of charging for the road use. And the general concept is that public roads, unless they are posted with a certain weight limit, and then that weight limit is exceeded, are supposed to be able to do the job they're there for. So a truck is supposed to be able to drive down at whatever the full legal weight is, unless the road is posted lower. And we're supposed to be we're all supposed to be paying enough taxes to keep the roads in those conditions that those trucks can use them. And to answer your question specifically about the road maintenance budget, had originally been proposed much higher, and the increase has been reduced to $25,000. So it went from this current fiscal year of $450,000 for road maintenance to a proposed $475,000. So it's a $25,000 increase over the current year. It was originally asked to be much higher, but the increase has been reduced.
Thank you.
But also only the number that is increasing over time. Thousands is better.
There you go. I'm all for it.
475,000 will do a lot, but depending how much work we have to do. If it's chip sealing, that'll get us a long ways. If it's tearing it up and rebuilding it because it has big cracks, 475,000 not going to get us far. Could be only a half a mile. Yep. And we have 72 miles of roads.
Side conversations.
Next year.
Yes.
We're probably would have paid Peter to start. Developing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and there's no question. I've heard many people speak about, our road planning or lack thereof and our scaling up appropriately. With the revenue picture, what it was, this was not a year that was comfortable for that. What we got in CIP was the reserve, the savings. That's also not well advised at this time. But it's the ugly sausage factory of making a budget with flat revenues and increasing contracts and rates that we can't really negotiate too much further. I mean, they're close from negotiation. So, additional comments. you're asking some good questions or pointing up some good issues. And please, the ones that are nearest and dearest to your heart are just fine. That's actually what we're expecting to hear. Kathy, you want to?
Follow to that, and that's at the point that I think it's important for the town to hear about what we're not doing, because we have a budget, so that people understand what we're doing.
Well, the board might have some comments about that. I think one of the things that we feel is a clear and present danger, and that Pete has talked about, Mike's talked about, Public Works has talked about, and Marco's talked about, is the tree situation, because we live around beautiful 150-year-old trees, but there are some bad boars, and not just at the party, but in the trees. And they really, the cost of, as you know, if you removed a tree from your property, it's highly expensive. We have a small amount addressing that, trying to keep up with that, cribbing off the utility company tree removal part, but realizing they have a limited frontage and side of the road that they address. I think I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think we as a board feel like we're lagging in that area, as well as paving and some of the other things that are big costs that we've been delayed. So, yeah.
Just to add to what someone said about robbing Peter to pay Paul.
About what?
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I don't mean to cast aspersions on any, but in a way, what I've seen in the last couple of years is we rob public works to public education. It may be that there's driving forces in those budgets. I'm not blaming anybody for that aspect. My own household budget sees that too. But it's the enforcement that for 2 years, we have really lacked public works. We are not prepared to do any serious road maintenance. And I pointed this out to a finance meeting, and so it's something for everyone to keep in mind. It's that.
Michelle?
Michelle, thank you. Another way to look at that, Mr. Toulouse, is that this town has robbed public works, general government, and education. Our taxes artificially low.
Orlando?
Yeah, public education is key. Support public education. People are going to move here if they don't have any zoning mechanisms to pay property taxes in the money. Any vote of reducing increases, we need to get more money for public education from the state. And that's not going to happen if we do not fund public education.
I just want to add for contact, it's just something I said in the overall. The 7 outplacement students are adding 1.4 million impact to the school budget. Now, some of those were already in the budget. I think we grew 2 this year. 1 more, so that's 200,000 more. That 1.4 million compared to the public works budget of 2 million, you can see the scale there. In a town our size, those are big numbers. Public works is the biggest budget on the town side. Education, which I don't know if I heard from the school building committee that numbers that our population is projected to increase in the next several years. Based on studies that are statewide assessments of student growth in town by town. That's something to factor into what's the future of the schools. Anyway, just trying to give you context, because some of the other cuts were like 1,200 from the registrars, which was a lot considering they've added early voting, same day registration, and they have the absentee votes and all the other work they do that got added to their office hours. Although not for the referendum, though, we're not doing early voting on that. But we do have absentee ballots.
I'll just encourage anyone, Mike and I both had conversations with Amy and Geo Project Board. They are very aware of this issue. It's across the state, special education, the cost of outplacement, tuition, transportation is through the roof. And the state is supposed to pick up a very large portion of that, to the tune of 98% plus, and they are picking up about 70% for us. So if you want to talk to Senator Gordon or State Rep Nuccio and ask for that, the excess grant to be fully funded, it would help you significantly in this town. The board has done communications, my superintendent group has done communications. So every town that's living this right now with these costs, if you have the ability to send those communications, or if you want help on getting on other information, page 3 of our budget document, walks you through a special education excess cost example. If you want to learn more about that, call me, I'm glad to explain it. Because that, the state is not doing their part for any town. And it is well underfunded. And we received, they made a big push last year. I'm sure you saw on the news. They pushed forward an additional $30 million for special education. It was front page on all the newspapers, and they limited how you could use the fund. So you could hire more teachers, more special ed teachers, which there's a shortage area of. You could hire, you could use the money towards an outside placement, third-party vendor. You could hire behaviors, or you could hire behaviors in district, but you could use third-party behaviors. It just is very limited, and if you want help writing some of those things, do let your state rep and Senator know. I'm glad to help give you some information.
Thank you. We're an hour in. I'm perfectly happy to kind of encourage the less inclined to speak. Give you a little breathing time, but I think I'm going to suggest this is the last call period of the public hearing. And then we will adjourn to go immediately into a Board of Finance meeting here. You'll have a chance to do present to speak both before and after that meeting on the agenda. So you can wait until then to comment on what you've heard or what you want to say in addition. It won't be under the hearing. It'll be under a meeting public to speak, present to speak. Okay. Is there anyone else? Last call. Hey. That's amazing.
I just want to highlight a couple items because I know the bottom line is very important to people. And when we're going through the various budget meetings, we keep going back to, okay, what is the percentage? What does it mean to people's taxes and all that? As things currently sit tonight, compared to, which is different from Thursday the 26th, we have moved from $200 and some per $100,000 of assessed value increase now to $197 per $100,000 assessed value increase. Just so people understand what the number is. If your house is valued, not appraised, but assessed for taxes at $200,000 right now, this current budget package that is updated from this morning is is basically a $394 increase, which is a big chunk of money. It's significantly less than where we were last week and the week before and the week before. But that's really what the bottom line number is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other comments in the last call? Okay. Hearing none. I am going to adjourn the public hearing portion and call to order at 8:08. The Board of Finance special meeting. And I would like to move that we seat Eric Castro as the alternate for Walter Parcell, who is absent tonight. And there's a second from Jason. Oh, do we need to take a roll call? We don't need to take a roll call though on that. Yeah, okay. On this vote, okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, and then I'd like to do the approval of minutes from March 19. Those are in your packet, and of course you lived the drama. So you probably, if you didn't have PTSD reading the minutes, would someone like to move that they have some, they also, I believe they also have some attachments.
I'll move to accept the meeting minutes of March 19th, 2026.
I'll second. Any discussion? Any suggested changes? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, the March 26th meeting, that was appropriations night. Our plot thickened on that night. Let's see, and that meant that was I checked, according to my records, I was keeping with the reporting secretaries, against the reporting secretary. She had that really pretty accurately done as far as who moved, who seconded, what the vote counts were. We took roll call votes on the ones that were in contest because it was hybrid meeting. Were there, I move that we accept the minutes of March 26, 2026.
That would change it.
Okay.
So it's page 5, second paragraph, which starts Mr. Lawler asked. The third sentence says Mr. Lawler made copies and distributed the document. He never made those copies. Jamie Cope made those copies and brought them to the meeting.
Oh, why don't we just cross out that you just say that cross out that he made copies and distributed, just make it distributed. Can we do that?
Yeah, we just have to make sure.
Oh, with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Was that mansplaining?
Yes, it was loud explaining. You've been asking people all night to project.
Okay, thank you, Mike, and you were an excellent candidate. Okay, anything else, Bruce? Was that, okay, anyone else have anything? Okay, so I'll move we accept the minutes with that edit of March 26, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Jason Ross, seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on. Let's shuffle my papers here. Presents to speak, and I haven't heard from you in so long. If the floor is open for presents to speak, you'll also have an opportunity at the end of the meeting, during which we'll make some budget adjustments as described before. And go through our agenda. Anyone like to speak now? Seeing none. Oh, Pete?
I would urge the board tonight to act on selecting tools of drug protection to continue this public hearing. Because it's clear in just discussion, I had very little confusion. Understandably, some of the challenges that were faced, but still a great deal of confusion about within the budget, how it was arrived at. Your suggestion, Stephanie, well taken, go back and try and find the appropriations and minutes of our meetings, assemble the budget documents that have appeared in the last 2 days that they'll have access to, and understand all of that, but then how would we be able to have any impact on the deliberations for that. We couldn't. So the continuation makes a great deal of sense. Why? I fully appreciate the first line. We should do this better next year. Why not do it better this year? By simply allowing the public to participate again. And why that would not be good is totally confusing.
Can I ask a point of order?
Yeah,
Has the public hearing already been adjourned?
Yeah.
We're now in-
public hearing has, the public, the present to speak is what this is.
So we really couldn't continue it because we've adjourned, right? Correct. Okay.
We can make a motion. Oh, that's on the board of finance.
I don't know that the Board of
No, the hearing-
Finance has jurisdiction to do that,
The public hearing is closed.
special meeting.
The public hearing is closed. It's already closed. You can't continue a hearing that's closed. You would have to call it in here. If you felt it was prudent to do that, you would call it in.
Call it what?
We have to call it a new.
Oh, another hearing. Oh, I think we should continue.
That is, I would provide my request to ask you to call for a new public hearing. That's the proper method, so that we can all understand the budget. And we can say our thoughts to you. If that's something you should consider. I hope that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other present to speak? Other thoughts? Okay. I am going to go to old business before we get to new business. However, I'm not sure how discussing recalling the hearing fits in because it's a special meeting agenda. I don't think I can add to it.
No, but we could discuss it under budget discussion.
Okay. Let's do that. So first, I don't know if there's some of the emergency services people were here. I'm afraid they may have already left. Oh, no. Hi, Alex. Thank you. Thank you. So under old business under old business, and Alex heard this comment many times. We talked about representation on and union negotiations on the town side, but this is about a BOF representative for the Emergency Services Facilities Building Committee, which is a mouthful. And that was originally Britt Rothhauser. She finished her term and did not run again for the board alternate position. So it's been open since the municipal elections, I think. And we've been busy otherwise with demanding numbers of the members of this board weekly for the last couple of months plus. So that's open for discussion. And I guess I'd like to know, is there anyone who would like to volunteer for being the Board of Finance representative on the Emergency Services Committee? Remind us when they meet.
It's the first and third Thursdays.
Well, we meet on the 3rd, so that's one probably. Second and fourth. Okay. Is that okay? It's not looking good, but this is okay. Thursdays, okay, and time 6:30, 7?
Chairman to the back.
Oh, yeah, Andy, is it a 6:30? Okay. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone who can step forward for this service that's on the floor? I'm kind of hitting people cold, although you did see it on the agenda. Did you give it any thought? I know that there's a lot of, like 2 of you are on CIP already. It can be an option.
Maybe time to consider it.
What's that?
Maybe time to consider it.
We can table it until the next meeting. I'm afraid we're gonna have to do that. It's kind of, sorry for that delay, but we're not a big board and people are already cross-serving. So Bill's on a couple committees. You're on CIP. So there's a lot. I think we have, do we have a couple of, did you say, Bruce, that we have some conflicts of interest for that?
I'll be out of town a lot this year, so there's no way that I can make meetings.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Sorry, Alex. Our search continues. So under new business, budget discussion, we can just discuss the budget at large. You can also discuss the idea of reopening the budget hearing. Floor is open for committee comment.
Yeah, I'll start.
Board comment.
Yeah, so every year we ask members to participate in our hearings and whatnot. We ask them to come into meetings. We wonder what we can do to better educate people. So, you know, the budget summary case did not come out in a timely fashion this year, and it's nobody's fault in here. It's just the way things played out because information was still coming in. So with that said, you know, Mike said that there is a lot that we can do better next year. And it kind of admits that there were flaws in the process this year as far as the budget summary coming out late. So, you know, part of the whole thing with the budget summary is it comes out, people get an idea, a chance to look at it. They get to communicate with people in the community about their feelings and share it. And then it comes to a meeting and it's discussed here. That didn't happen this year because the budget summary came out this afternoon. So it gave people very little time to even consider this other than being in this room to do it. So I do think that there is some value in the idea of putting the budget summary, or not the budget summary, the public hearing off another week. So the community has an opportunity to digest this, discuss it amongst themselves, and then come in and participate in our hearings.
Okay, other comments or reactions to Bruce's or whatever you want to say?
I see the logic in it, and I see the good that it could do. But then I look out here and I see the same 40 people that we see in every budget meeting that we have every year, and I don't know that it will do any good. Every time we do this, it's the same 40 people that are here. And even if we were to continue the meeting, Ralph makes a good point. We wouldn't have to warn it again or advertise it again.
We will have to now.
Well, now we would, but if we had continued instead of adjourning, nobody would have any idea that we continued the meeting. Then we get to next week, and what happens? Nobody knew about it. We have to continue it again. Nobody had any idea, and then it's our fault because nobody had any idea and we didn't do something right. And everybody's mad at us because we didn't tell anybody about it. And we just continue to keep doing the same cycle over and over again. At some point, people have to take onus of it and get involved. There's only so much we can do to get people involved. And at some point, we have to just do what needs to be done. We have a job to do. Do the job. And the townspeople have the job they have to do. Be involved and know what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a false assumption to believe that only these 40 people will come here. And that if other people had an idea, had the opportunity to look at this and discuss it, then more people would come into a meeting.
The meeting was warned. They knew that there was going to be a meeting. They knew what it was about. They know that this is time immemorial. This is what we've been doing. We've been presenting the information. This is how it always goes. This is how it has always been. This is where we present the information. It's just how it's always been. Not saying that that's always a good reason to continue to do something, but it's just, that is what it is. This is the meeting that we present the information. They have the 2 weeks until the town meeting to digest the information. Their say in the budget is the referendum. That's where they say what whether they like it or not.
Bill, Eric, Christina? Thoughts?
I guess to me, this year it isn't that much different than any other year in terms of process. And even after today, we can almost guarantee there's going to be some other change that's hopefully to the good. Sometimes maybe not. Maybe we'll get some news tomorrow that something else has gone up unexpectedly. But it's constantly doing that. Every year it's doing that. You have to put a point in time that is the deadline, and it was today. So and here we are. I think giving it another week or 2 weeks, I'm not sure what we gain from that, other than perhaps even more confusion and more versions. That's the danger of publishing any of these things. We can put dates on them and double check and triple check everything. But when you start to have multiple versions of a budget out there in the world, then that just asks for confusion and asks for just misunderstandings, and then changes happen. And I don't know. I think it's just this is what we have, and we have to and move forward.
All right, well, with that said, then I'd like to make a motion that we extend this public hearing and that we go into next week.
Is there a second? I would still like to hear other comments, though, if there are any opinions. You don't have to, but if you want to, I mean, I'd like to hear from the board on it.
Stephanie, you would have about a 2-day window looking at the newspaper publishing deadlines and the legal requirements for SB to be no sooner than a certain, no later than a certain gap. So if you were to choose to do that, we could get it to the newspaper tomorrow, and they could promise to get it in the production line. Probably the only 3 days it could happen would be next Thursday, the 16th, Friday, the 17th, or Monday, the 20th, the night before the annual town meeting. Those might be the only 3 days that we can fit within that gap if we could get it in the paper tomorrow. Just to understand what the timeline would be.
I will say that I won't be able to make any of those dates. I'm unable to do that. But that doesn't mean it couldn't happen. It's just probably not being able to be a part of it. I think what I'm seeing is the budget adjustments that we're going to look at next are 2 areas that have to do with a captured savings by, frankly, Mike and Phil and Sherry working zealously to look at the numbers and being in negotiation with the low bidder, which was a different person, of course, than the first deliverer of the news that we were going to have a 32.4%, or the agency, which was Aetna, and now it's United Healthcare. So they've even worked with us for economies of scale, and we've actually polled the employee base to know who's picking what. The numbers are accurate. The savings is accurate. I don't think that's a controversial adjustment in the budget, and it's all good for the voters and for the people that are making the budget, in my opinion. So I don't see that requires, in other words, those are changes that are really separate and distinct from the budget cutting, which was heavy, and there was a lot of input. There was a lot of communication back and forth. Some of it we rested with for more than one meeting because we knew it was controversial and we wanted people to get their say, and for the board to make sure they wanted to make some of those moves. So I don't see that there's additionally more information. It's more a question of, does the busy resident of Wellington have time to really take a deep dive into the budget before this night, and that's an ongoing issue that I think we can improve upon, and we have ideas for that. I also think there's ways that we need to address some of our revenue issues in town in short order, but not while we're making a budget, in the off season of making the budget. So having said that, I don't think the board has the interest in calling an all new hearing and going through the process again. Am I capturing it? Thank you, though. Thank you for prompting the discussion from the audience and from the board. So I am going to move under the next item 2, move to adjust the budget request for, this is for a very minor rounding error, not error, but justification. Move to adjust the budget request for Department 0311 Public Works to $1,706,149 to correct a rounding error.
Second.
Is that the appropriation correction or the request correction?
Well, it's your appropriation as a board, and it's a $1. It was 48 before, now it's 49. It went from 8 to 9 last digit.
For the overall appropriation. That's,
For
yeah.
that, yes, for that.
Is that right, Sherry? Okay, it's the appropriation amount. Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, Jason has seconded. Is there more discussion? Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I'll move to adjust the budget. Should I say appropriation, do you think? Is that better to adjust the appropriation from? Or
It
do we
was
say-
the way it's worded in the
To
previous
adjust-
motion
okay.
sheet is the request. Move to approve the request.
Let's do that. Move to adjust the budget request for Department 0831 Employee Insurance to $173,864 to reflect lowered insurance premiums and fewer participants. Thank you, Christina. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? Okay.
You need a roll call.
Do we need a roll call? And since it's not hybrid,
Roll call if you don't have unanimous, you do a roll call, even in the.
let's do a roll call. Would you do that, Lisa?
Nay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move to adjust the budget request for Board of Education, $10,501,957 to reflect lowered insurance premiums and fewer participants.
Second.
Discussion? I'll remind you that's about $102,000 savings for this item, separate and distinct from the other cuts, or the other reductions that have already been made. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Matt?
Yes.
Hello?
Nay.
Yes.
Thank you. Sherry, do you have a financial report? for the month of March, or should we delay that for the next board meeting? Do that. What's that?
Stephanie, there was just one, sorry,
Okay.
I resolved it when I looked at it. Okay, never mind. It would have been valuable for that question.
Okay. There is one of the changes in revenue from the state is that normally, well, like the year before, we're seeing like a 91,000 state catch up on our vehicle taxes because our previous mill rate was 33.89. When it's a high mill rate like that before reval, the state augments the difference between the cap on vehicle taxes, property taxes, and the mill rate. And so that difference in revenue lost comes back to the town from the state. We will not see that in the budget year we're putting together now. So that's year over year, one of those negative 91,000 in revenue that we enjoyed in this fiscal year, but will not in fiscal year 27. We're going forward until we're again at a high mill rate years from now. So I just wanted to explain that's the kind of thing that we're capturing, researching, and paying for in other reductions. So, and there's probably some others I forgot to mention, but I just thought that one was of interest and large enough that we get some attention. So.
Yeah, the reduction in state revenue is what, 94, like $94,000, I think. Sherry? The reduction in the state revenue in the upcoming budget is 94,000, right?
Yeah.
91,000 of it is the tax thing, the car taxes, and then there's some small other adjustments. We are still, as Bill said before, I reach out like every couple of days to Jeff and Tammy about all of these appropriations and trying to push back up. They've reduced everywhere we get state funding from, they've reduced to balance the budget in Hartford, which ends up balancing on our backs.
Thank you. So I think we're back to correspondence. I think there's correspondence in your packet from Phil's communication to us about his reduction as it was unfolding, and the town information. You got all that. There was a late correspondence that was too late to make the packet. It was clarifying data that was offered on appropriations night from one of the residents. I'll forward that to you. It wasn't able to make it tonight. It was too late in the day that we got that. So I'm going to, unless there's anything on correspondence, I'm going to go to President Speak again. And this is your last chance for tonight. I know you've been waiting for it. Or maybe you're waiting for a game. Which is soon, very soon. Anyone like to speak? Andy, anything from you? We haven't heard from you. Well, okay. Good and welfare. I was just saying thank you for a muscular process this year with a lot of changing data kind of coming at us. It's always difficult when we're chasing the numbers, week to week and trying to report out the most accurate things. And I've already explained Sherry's role in it, which was tremendous, but also a big ask of her learning ability and her quickness to pivot, and she really can. So I do appreciate all the efforts and all the good debate. So thank you. And thank you to the public for all your comments. Any other good and welfare? Okay. Hearing none, I adjourn the meeting at 8:38 p.m. Thank you very much, and please, please vote on May 5th in the referendum and come to the town meeting on the 21st, 2 short weeks from tonight. And, there's so many other things you could do. But please do participate. It means everything. Mike, do we stack the chairs or leave them as is?
You can just leave a public works in the morning.
Right, and then we'll do that. So. That's what I said. We go. Yeah, it's. No, I know, but they set their date and we're part of town and everybody. But we don't have to have our referendum. Well, but you're saying, in other words, we have to go on May 5th, region 19. Yeah. So that, they do that. That's what I thought. Yeah, I could have added the extra week on it. Who wants to pay for 2 referendums? Who wants to pay for 2 referendums? Stephanie, it's, again, this is going back how many years? At least 14 years. This is what we try to do. It hasn't always add conviction, conviction 19. And then 2 or 3, whatever. We have yeah, no,